There are stories about what happened.
It's true. All of it.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Star Wars Canon Library. My name's Brian. I am the founder and the librarian here at the Canon Library. I'm so glad you guys decided to join me on another video. It's been a long time since we've got one up. It's been 3 months, something like that, since we did a video, but we've been adding to the Canon Library left and right. We've been working on upgrading some things, working on audio, working on video, stuff like that. Playing with some different ways on how to do this stuff. I was trying to get Andrew to help with one of these videos here before long, but he's really busy with his personal life. It's hard to get him over, you know, just because of scheduling. So I decided I'd go ahead and do a video for you guys tonight. Today, really, all I really want to do is, I know me and Andrew did it a while back, but I just want to go through and through the list of canon again and just lay out what is and isn't canon according to our list. Now, our list doesn't include everything. It doesn't include kiddie books, coloring books, sticker books, stuff like that, or these young adult, no, not young adult, junior reader novels or whatever they are now, like the Wild Space and stuff like that. This is only including the films, the comics, the novels, video games, there's like one ebook, several short stories, not including the short stories that are in the Star Wars Insider issues, which I've never been able to get my hands on, so I'm not even going to try to chase all those down. TV shows, I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. So that's the only thing this is going to include. It's not including the Servants of the Empire series or the Wild Space series, which I tried reading the other day, and I got 20 pages in, and I would rather read Heir to the Jedi again than to try reading that set of books. It was brutal. So anyway, we're going to start at the top of the list, and I'm going to work my way down and just kind of explain what each thing is. A lot of this stuff doesn't need any explanation. Some of it will. So we're just going to start right at the very top. According to those mediums that I listed, this is the canon list in chronological order. The very first thing on the list is Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. That is the beginning of the canon list. Right now, none of the Old Republic stuff is canon. Some of the characters are, but none of the Old Republic stories are actually canon right now. So we're starting with Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, which, by the way, if you guys love the Darth Bane trilogy as much as I do, start pushing to make that crap canon, because they could make it canon tomorrow and it wouldn't affect anything in the timeline right now. So if you guys have read those books and you really enjoyed them as much as I did, and yeah, like for me, Darth Bane is my favorite Star Wars character of all time, and at least he's canon according to the Clone Wars. So but if you guys love him as much as I do, start pushing for that to be canon, because I'll add him to the canon shelf in a heartbeat, no problem, no questions asked. So anyway, we're starting right now with Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, and that is the Blu-ray version. It's not, they do tweaks in between theatrical releases to the Blu-rays. It's not, the definitive version is the Blu-ray version. All right. We go from there to Marvel's 5-issue run of Obi-Wan and Anakin. It takes place right after the Phantom Menace, and it's just a short mission that Obi-Wan is taking Anakin on. Anakin's having some second thoughts about the Jedi Order, not really wanting to stay in, and Obi-Wan's trying to convince him otherwise. It's only 3 issues in right now out of the 5, so we'll see how that one kind of goes. It's not too awful bad, but if you don't like prequel stuff like me, then it's a little rough. But if you can appreciate good storytelling and you're just an OCD junkie like I am also, then you're going to want to get it and read it. But anyway, enough of that one. We're on issue 3 of that one, so we'll see how that one goes. Next is Star Wars Attack of the Clones, Episode 2, which I think we all agree is the biggest piece of crap Star Wars movie ever made. And again, that is the Blu-ray version. That is the definitive copy, because I mean, between the theater and the Blu-ray and the DVD release, I guess they changed Anakin's robotic arm a couple times or some crap at the wedding scene. I don't know, but anyway, Coming off of Attack of the Clones, we do have all 6 seasons of Star Wars Clone Wars. Now, the thing you need to know about Clone Wars is this: the episodes were not aired in chronological order, and they're not on Netflix in chronological order at all, which is why a lot of people have a hard time with this particular series because none of it makes any sense. They debuted the series with a theatrical release, which doesn't even happen until like 3 episodes into the series. Listed on our Facebook page, I'll put the link to that in the description for this video and this podcast, but on the Facebook page I've got the entire timeline lined out, and that's actually what I'm going off of right now. But below that is every episode of Clone Wars in chronological order. And if you don't want to go there to find it, IGN's got a good list. They've got a really good list. Episode and season numbers, titles, everything. But if you go through and watch them in chronological order, I promise you, I had a hard time starting Clone Wars because none of it made any sense to me. And I went back, I was like halfway through it, and then I found out that they weren't in the right order, went back and started watching them in chronological order. So much better. The storytelling is a lot better. You actually have story arcs instead of just random episodes. A lot of it makes a lot more sense. So give that a shot, guys, if you haven't before. And if you have watched it and it wasn't in chronological order, go back and watch it in that order, man. Trust me, it's some good storytelling there. After that, we have Dark Horse's last Star Wars comic run, which was Son of Dathomir, Darth Maul's Son of Dathomir. It was a 4-issue run, and even though it's Dark Horse and it's not Marvel, it is considered canon just for the simple fact that it was made from old scripts of Clone Wars that never really got finished and made into episodes. So those are considered canon. I really wanted to touch on this one a little bit. Tonight was the season finale of Rebels Season 2, and Darth Maul popped back up. And recently, a lot of people have been asking a lot of questions about Darth Maul, and they didn't give Clone Wars a shot. So as far as they knew, he had died in Episode 1, and all of a sudden he's popping up in Rebels, and nobody knew what the hell was going on. This is a comic that covers his time after Clone Wars. After the Emperor said, after Sidious told him, I have plans for you, blah, 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 whatever. He actually takes over Death Watch, the Mandalorian group Death Watch, and becomes their leader. Has another showdown with Kenobi. But before it's over with, Obi-Wan just runs off into the sunset, fleeing, trying to stay away from, I believe it was, I don't remember who it was. I'm going to have to read it again. It's been like a year since I read it, so. Definitely pick it up, though. It's definitely worth the read. It definitely gives you an idea of why Maul is the way he is in Rebels. If you guys watched it, I lost my freaking mind over the episode tonight. In my opinion, by far the best episode of Rebels. But anyway, and he had a lot to do with it. But anyway, moving on from that, the next is the novel Dark Disciple, which was also made from scripts of Clone Wars episodes that were never aired. Definitely a good read. Not the best by any means, but it's a good read, especially if you like Asajj Ventress, and it's got the Jedi Quinlan Vos in it. It's more of a love story between the two. If you'll read it and figure it out, but it's a little bizarre when you think of those two characters together. But it's definitely worth the read. It's got a pretty cool ending. Don't want to ruin anything for you guys if you haven't read it. But anyway. Next on the list is the Blu-ray version of Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. That, like I said, again, is the Blu-ray version. After that, we have a 12-issue run that just finished up, and I'm really bummed that it finished up, is Marvel's Canon the Last Padawan. It takes place immediately after Revenge of the Sith. It was going to be an ongoing series, but they ended up cutting it short at 12 issues so they could start a Poe Dameron series. We'll see how that goes. But I read the last issue of Canon the other day, and it wraps it all up in a neat bow, and it's really cool. But it's definitely one of my favorite comic series out of all of them they've released so far. Next is a short story called, oh no, I'm sorry, I take that back. Next is the novel Lords of the Sith, which if you've been on any Star Wars page at all, you know that people are raving. It's like number 1 and 2 in different people's books about the best novel so far. Lords of the Sith follows Cham Syndulla. He's a Twi'lek from Ryloth, leading the Free Ryloth movement, and they try to plan an assassination attempt on Darth Vader, and we all know how that turns out because we've all seen the movies. But It's definitely worth the read. It's if you want to see a badass Vader in action, along with the Emperor, this is the book for you. It is. It's my number 2 novel. I love it. Next is the short story that it's called Mercy Mission. The only way you can get this short story is to get The Rise of the Empire, which is it's a paperback, but it's got the novels Tarkin and New Dawn in it, and then it's got 3 short stories throughout it. One of those short stories is Mercy Mission. It's next in line. A little bit of a read, just again, if you're OCD about the stuff and you want to read it, go ahead and pick it up. Next is the book Tarkin. It was the second novel released in the new canon, and it's all about, you guessed it, Grand Moff Tarkin, and how he came to power, why he is the way he is, why he is who he is, what made him that way. It definitely shows the relationship built between Tarkin and Vader, and why Vader respects Tarkin enough that Tarkin can order Vader around. Like in A New Hope, when Vader's choking the Admiral, and Tarkin says, Vader, release him, and he says, as you wish. Because of what happens in this novel, that's the reason Vader's got such respect for this character. So it's definitely worth the read. The next novel is my favorite Star Wars novel of all time. Definitely my favorite of the new canon. I'm hard-pressed to say all time, but it's definitely my favorite of the new canon. It is Lost Stars by Claudia Gray. And any Star Wars fan has been hearing about Claudia Gray since this book came out, and how great it is. And it's just, and it goes from one end of the Star Wars saga to the other, and it's beautifully written. Definitely pick that one up. Actually, Andrew's got a couple of my books at home, and he was going to read Lost Stars next, and I actually went and bought him his own copy of Lost Stars, because I feel like every Star Wars fan should have that book on their shelf, and I went and bought him his own copy of it. It was just, he had to own that book, and I suggest you do the same. Next is a little weird, because it's actually, Marvel's got several titles out right now, and actually the very next one in line is Marvel's Star Wars issue 7. And the only reason I have that on the list right there is because it's an Obi-Wan issue, and it shows what happened to Obi-Wan between episodes 3 and 4. And right after that is Star Wars issue 15, which is another Obi-Wan issue, and the same thing. It's just showing what happened to Obi-Wan while he was on Tatooine. So I'm trying my best to keep these in chronological order, and it's kind of hard to do when you get a flashback scene for an entire issue. But next is one of the short stories from Rise of the Empire called Bottleneck. Again, just a little 20-page short story. Next is the novel A New Dawn, which was the first of the new canon novels released. It's about Canon and Hera from Rebels, how they met, the whole story behind that. It's an alright book. It's not on my top 5. It's not even on my top 10, but it's definitely better than Heir to the Jedi. And anybody who's been watching these videos long enough knows how I feel about Heir to the Jedi and how much I loathe that book. So anyway, moving on. Next is Star Wars Rebels Seasons 1 and 2, the television show. Again, tonight was the season finale of Season 2. Long-awaited finale. It was freaking awesome. Since the very first episode of this show came out, it's felt like Star Wars. And I was worried after watching Clone Wars, and at that point I was like halfway through Clone Wars, and I was watching it out of order, so none of it made any sense. So I was worried about Rebels at first, especially with it being on Disney XD. Let me tell you something. This is one of the best TV shows I've seen on TV, except for like some of the filler episodes that they've had, where it's, everybody learns a great lesson, and yay for the kids. Other than that crap, greatest show I've ever seen on TV. Tonight's finale, I had to go outside and smoke a cigarette and calm the hell down, because I was freaking out, and it's great. If you guys haven't watched it, definitely go pick it up. Season 1 is out on DVD. Season 2 will be coming very soon. Trust me, it is definitely worth sitting down and watching. Next in the chronological order, it's not out yet, but it's coming soon. This December, guys, Star Wars Rogue One. The film will be coming out this December. I believe it's the 16th, December 16th. And that's going to be the story of rebel spies or bounty hunters, whoever the hell they are, stealing the plans to the original Death Star before the original 1977 Star Wars A New Hope. So I mean, that's the prequel we all wanted back in the '90s when they gave us Episode 1. You know, and this is the prequel we all wanted, and this is the one we're finally getting. So that does come out in December of this year. Next is the film that made us all fall in love with this saga to begin with, and the reason you're even watching this video right now is Star Wars: A New Hope from 1977. And again, it is the Blu-ray version. I hate to say that. I really hate to say it. I've got the theatrical versions on Laserdisc around here somewhere. Nobody even knows what a Laserdisc is anymore. But it's the Blu-ray version, guys. I'm sorry, it's the special edition bullshit. It's all this crap, the freaking rock in front of R2, the Vader screaming no, throwing the Emperor down the pit. It's all of that crap. The blinking Ewoks that to this day haunt me in my sleep. I mean, it's the Blu-ray versions. I'm sorry, guys, but it is. So you got the Blu-ray version of A New Hope. Next is, well, I've got it on here, but it's the novelization of A New Hope, and it's called The Princess, the Scoundrel, and the Farm Boy. It's actually the novelization of A New Hope, but it's got a couple extra scenes that are officially canon, like Leia's interrogation scene is in there, Luke doing the simulator before the Death Star assault for the X-Wing, stuff like that. That's in there. That stuff is canon. So if you guys, you're not missing out on anything if you don't read it, but it's kind of cool. I mean, it's only worth reading for like 2 or 3 scenes. So next is Marvel's poor attempt at doing a Princess Leia comic series. It was a 5-issue run, just simply called Princess Leia, and it was rough. I mean, it was really brutal. I mean, you can go back and watch our review video of it and Andrew's reaction to it, because like the artwork started up here, and then every issue it just dropped a little bit more, and the storytelling just dropped like this much more for every episode, so, or for every issue. So it's not really worth the read. You're not missing out on anything. All it is Leia trying to go around the galaxy and round up the rest of the Alderaanians that hadn't been on Alderaan when it blew up after A New Hope, or in A New Hope. After that is the young adult reader. It's Smuggler's Run, a Han Solo adventure. Excellent book. I buzzed through it in about 3 hours. It's a neat little story. You know, if you like Han and Chewie, you're gonna love this story. They go on a little mission together to bring back somebody for the Rebel Alliance. After that is the worst attempt I've ever seen at a comic book. 5 issues of Chewbacca. I dreaded reading this comic. Every time I had to order an issue of this, it got to the point where the last 2 issues I was just leafing through it. And I'm OCD when it comes to this crap. Like, I read everything on that shelf up there, and I just kind of flipped through it and got the points. And who gives a crap? And like, it was horrible. But not as bad as what came next. Next is Heir to the Jedi. It's a novel. Let me tell you something about this book. It took me 3 or 4 months to read, and I buzzed through Lost Stars in 2 days. Heir to the Jedi, I didn't even want to pick it up. The only reason I even picked it up to read it was just so I could read everything. And it is so freaking bad. I mean, it's bad. The only reason I even kept picking it up to read it was because Kirsty ended up telling me at one point, well, if you don't read it, one of these days you're going to want to read it, and you're going to have to start it all over. And I'm like, no, that ain't happening. I'm not reading the first 8 pages of this book again. So I just went in and picked it up and buzzed through it. I mean, 3 to 4 months, dude, come on. That's a tough book to get through. And what's different about it, it's told from Luke's point of view. Like, he's actually telling the story. So instead of saying Luke Skywalker did this, it says I did this. I mean, and you can't even hear Luke's voice when you read it. I mean, Kevin Hearn, if you're watching this, I have read your other stuff and I loved it. Don't ever write another Star Wars book. Ever. Unless, no, never. Don't ever do it. Unless there's a shortage of toilet paper on the planet, don't write another Star Wars book. After that, we've got the novel that was actually written to counteract Heir to the Jedi. It's Weapon of a Jedi, Luke Skywalker Adventure. This is what Heir to the Jedi should have been. It is Luke finding a Jedi temple on another planet. I don't remember the name of the planet off the top of my head. And training for several days on end and actually learning how to use like his lightsaber and stuff like that. And he gets another lightsaber, a purple one from a Jedi's tomb, I mean, he studies how it was created and stuff. I mean, it's really, really, it's an interesting read. After that, we get into the Marvel Star Wars comics. Some of these, they happen in chronological order as the issues are being released. Because right now they're releasing Star Wars and Darth Vader titles simultaneously and kind of alternating. The story happens, like if Star Wars comes out here and then Vader and then Star Wars, Vader, that's the chronological order of the story so far. So it's really kind of confusing as far as the issues go. Like on the Facebook page, I've got Star Wars issues 1 through 6, like the TPB, the trade paperback, and then Darth Vader issues 1 through 6. But then after that, I've got volumes 2 for each of them, and then you start a series called Vader Down, and it's its own special story. It's its own 6-issue arc, 5 or 6 issue arc, and it alternates. Like they started the first issue of it with a Vader Down issue. It's actually called Vader Down. But then it goes Darth Vader 13, Star Wars 13, Vader 14, Star Wars 14, Vader 15. Like that's the chronological order of that story. So I'm going to try to keep that as up to date as possible. I've got them all up here. I don't know if you guys can see it. Oh, Vader, Hooker. All right, that stack of comics right here, this long one, that's all those. So I'm going to try to keep those in as much order as possible, because we've also got the Star Wars Annual #1 and the Darth Vader Annual #1 up there somewhere in that list. Next is one that's a lot of controversy, because not a lot of people really understand why it's even canon. It is Star Wars Battlefront, the video game, which has no story mode to it whatsoever. The only reason that the story group says it's canon is because of the planets, what they look like, I mean, the locations, the battles, stuff like that. Because of that, that game is canon. But as far as I'm aware, Andrew told me about it about a month ago. I guess they are releasing a free download for the game sometime next year that's supposed to be a campaign. Don't take that to the bank. I'm not entirely sure what's going on with it. I hope to God it's true. Andrew actually got rid of his copy of Battlefront. Mine's up on the shelf, but Andrew actually got rid of his copy. And I haven't even played the update that came out last week for it, the Outer Rim or whatever it is. I picked up LEGO Dimensions and Division, and Battlefront's a thing of the past in my book. But anyway, after that, we have the novel Battlefront Twilight Company, which I am currently working on right now. I got busy with work, and I started to read it, and I lost track of where I was. I'm like 3-4 chapters into it, so I'm going to have to start it over. It's been like 4 months since I picked it up, only because I haven't had the time to do it. But I need. It's supposed to follow a group of soldiers, throughout the classic trilogy. I guess through Empire Strikes Back, is how far it carries through. So I'll get a review up as soon as I finish reading that one. Next is the 5-issue run of Lando, which was great. It was fun to read. It had a great story to it. What happened? Lando gets hired to steal a ship, and the ship turns out to be the Emperor's personal yacht. And he finds a storeroom of like Sith artifacts. It's really cool read. It's really great. Next is everybody's favorite Star Wars film of all time, and it is the Blu-ray version of The Empire Strikes Back. Everybody's watched it. Everybody knows what it's about. Everybody knows Darth Vader is Luke's father, so we're just going to move on from that. Next is the novel called So You Want to Be a Jedi. It is the official novelization of The Empire Strikes Back, which sickens me, because this book is literally going through The Empire Strikes Back like the reader, are Luke Skywalker, and it's training you how to be a Jedi throughout the movie. It's crap, dude. I mean, it's really, really bad. I didn't even finish it, simply because I know what happens in the movie, and that's good enough for me. I mean, it skips the whole argument between Luke and Leia, or not Luke and Leia, but the whole argument between Han and Leia on Hoth, just because it's too mushy. Like, no, it's bad. So, moving on from that, let's see where we at here. Next is the young adult novel called Moving Target: A Princess Leia Adventure. Interesting little read. It really is. Leia goes on a mission to try to distract the Empire from the Rebel fleet who is planning their assault on the second Death Star. Interesting little read. It was all right. I mean, nothing great. You're not going to miss anything if you don't read it. Excuse me. Next is the Blu-ray version of Return of the Jedi. Like I said, this is the Blu-ray version. Blinking Ewoks, Vader screaming no. I mean, all that bull crap. The freaking ding, 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 instead of the normal music from Jabba's party. Just stupid crap. But anyway, it's Return of the Jedi. We all know and love it. That's next on the list. After that, I have the novelization of Return of the Jedi, which is Beware the Power of the Dark Side. It is simply the novelization of Return of the Jedi. That's it. There's nothing extra in it. It's actually just written like a regular book, so it's literally just the novelization of it. Next is, let's see, where we at here. Is one of the short stories from the Rise of the Empire. The other short story of the three. It's called the Levers of Power, the Levers of Power, or however you pronounce it. I don't, depending on what country you're in, I guess. Just a short story about one of the characters from A New Dawn that also popped up in Lords of the Sith, also popped up in the Canon series in the last issue. It's just about her, and it's about it's the assault on the second Death Star from the point of view of one of the captains on the Star Destroyers keeping the Rebel fleet from escaping. That's all it is. Next is the short story Blade Squadron, which I guess was in one of the Insider issues. I don't remember. I said I wasn't going to put those in here, but I read through that one, and that one's like really good. It was a two-parter. I combined it into one. So that one, you're going to have to hunt that one down. It took me a little while to hunt that one down, so good luck finding it. You're not missing anything. It's more fan fiction than anything, but it's actual canon. But it's interesting. Next is the comic that everybody was looking forward to. It was a 4-issue run of Shattered Empire, and it's immediately after the events of Return of the Jedi. So, I mean, you see Luke, you see Han, you see Leia, you see Lando. It actually starts with, the first issue starts with Luke fighting Vader on the throne room of the second Death Star, which is really interesting. After that is the novel Aftermath, the first Aftermath. This year we get another Aftermath. Next year we get a third Aftermath. So, Aftermath, it was a letdown. I know a lot of people were looking forward to it. It was a bit of a letdown. The only cool thing that really came out of the book, couple things. Throughout the book, there were these sections, like interludes, like little mini chapters in between the bigger chapters. And those were the coolest part. Like, one of them is somebody's bought Darth Vader's lightsaber from the underground or the black market on Terrace, and they're going to destroy it. And then there's another one of Han and Chewie. There was one where Boba Fett's armor was found in the desert on Tatooine on a Jawa sandcrawler. I mean, it was kind of cool, but I mean, other than that. And then the main kid in this book that the book's actually about is one of the pilots. He's the pilot with the beard in The Force Awakens. The one that was helping come up with all the plans, and everything. It was him. The guy from Heroes. I can't think of his name right now, but it was the guy from Heroes. He's in that novel. Next is the game Star Wars Uprising, which I got level. It's a miracle I even got to level 26 on my character. It is. Don't even download it. To be honest, that game is not canon in my book. But anyway, then we have Aftermath Life Debt, which comes out this year, and then Aftermath Empire's End, which comes out next year. Next is the book that everybody is looking forward to this year, simply because of the author and the time period this book takes place in. And it is New Republic Bloodline. Claudia Gray is writing this book, the same author who wrote Lost Stars that everybody's raving about. And it takes place about 7 years before The Force Awakens. So it shows a lot of the political side of the galaxy, stuff like that. They even released I'm pretty sure it was like a poster of the cover of the book, but it had liar spray painted across the front of Leia. Like, it looks, it's going to be insane. I cannot wait to get that freaking book. Next is Marvel's ongoing series that's going to be starting next month of Poe Dameron. That is the series that is picking up and replacing Kanan the Last Padawan. So for all you Poe Dameron fans out there, that is coming out. I'm pretty sure it starts next month, if I remember right. Next is the ebook. It's a short story. I had to buy it, download it, and I was actually able to figure out a way to print it off. I'm not going to tell you guys how, but I was able to print it off. I printed part of it off. My cat screwed my printer up, so I need to get it printed off. But it's called The Perfect Weapon. and it follows a character from The Force Awakens in Maz Kanata's cantina on a bounty mission. And a lot of people speculate, it's not confirmed, but a lot of people speculate that the package that she's trying to get delivered is Darth Vader's helmet to Kylo Ren. Because the guy that hired her is in a mask with a modulator voice, and he's got a hood up, and he's just trying to get the small box the size of a head. There's a lot of speculation, and if you look at it like that, it's a really neat little read. If not, it's not even worth picking up, to be honest. Next is the Marvel one-shot that has been pushed back so many freaking times. It is C-3PO. It's going to be a one-issue comic. It was supposed to come out in December, then they pushed it back to January, then they pushed it back to February. Now it's coming out next month. And it's supposed to explain how he got his red arm. Nobody knows, because how hard is it to get one comic issue out? I don't know. Anyway, we'll see if that one even happens. Next is the film Star Wars The Force Awakens, Episode 7, the one that we all waited to go see, and it is the next in that line. Also is the novelization of The Force Awakens, which has some extra scenes in it that are canon. That apparently are all the deleted scenes that are coming out on the Blu-ray next week. And then we have Star Wars Episode 8 and Star Wars Episode 9, which we have, next year is Episode 8, and then 2 years from then is Episode 9. Now, the only films I didn't include that we know about are the Han Solo film and the Boba Fett film, just because I'm not entirely sure exactly where on the timeline they're going to fall. I didn't include those in this list just yet. Also, I think there's... I don't know what else I'm missing, but I feel like I'm forgetting something. Maybe I'm not. Maybe it's just, I don't know. Anyway, but as of now, that is the definitive timeline of canon. If anybody starts telling you that Shadows of the Empire is canon, or the Thrawn trilogy, none of that crap. As much as it pains me to say this, the Thrawn trilogy never happened. The Darth Bane trilogy hasn't happened yet. So, I mean, part of me really wants to put the Bane trilogy up there, just because I love Bane so much. I mean, that trilogy of books, even Andrew and I have had conversations about Darth Bane. And like today when I got off work, one of my employees was asking, who's Darth Bane? I've never heard of Darth Bane. And we had to explain to her who Darth Bane was and how he created this thought bomb, and he ripped the souls out of all the Army of Light and the Brotherhood of Darkness, the Army of Jedi and the Army of Sith, and wiped out both armies with one stroke and started the rule of two. I mean, that's badass. That guy, Jesus. If they came out tomorrow and said that was canon, I'd throw the paperbacks up there in a heartbeat and probably get hardback copies just to replace them, just so they'd all match. But guys, that is the official timeline for the canon as of now. I know a lot of people are saying there's not a lot of stuff out right now, and we wiped 40 years worth of stuff. Granted, we only wiped I guess it was 40 years of stuff, wasn't it? Crap. Man, there's some good shit in that EU. But anyway, that is the official canon. That is everything that has happened now in the world of Star Wars. So if it's not on that list, it's probably not worth reading. And even if it is on that list, it may not be worth reading. Check out our Facebook page, guys. I've got reviews up for a lot of this stuff. It's under the cover art on the albums. Make sure our Facebook page is facebook.com/Star Wars Canon Library, all one word. Make sure you guys give us a like. Make sure you guys subscribe to this channel. If you guys like this video, let us know. If you guys didn't like the video, give it a thumbs up anyway. Please, for the love of God. Tell your friends about us, man. I mean, if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't even be doing this. I honestly started the page just so I could keep up with all this stuff. And then somebody found it and liked it, and then their friends liked it, and then their friends liked it. So, it blew up. So, well, not really blew up. In my eyes, it blew up because I've never had that many likes on a Facebook page before. But, get the word out there, guys. Make sure, please share these videos. We'd really appreciate it. We're going to start being a lot more active on the page. Like I said, it's been like 3 or 4 months since we've even had a video. So we're going to start being a lot more active on the page and trying to get some of this new canon stuff out. We might even, starting with Season 3 of Rebels, start doing an after show. I'm not sure yet. I don't want to copy everybody else that's on YouTube right now. I'm trying to figure out a way to do our own thing that doesn't look like just a cookie-cutter copy and paste of somebody else. So that's it, guys. That's all I really got for you for this particular episode. Hopefully Andrew will be in the next one. We're trying to set up a little bit of a stage for you guys. I don't know if you can see this. We got Pop's figures everywhere. Those are Andrew's. We're trying to screw around with a lot of extra stuff. We're trying to get some webcams, stuff like that. So until next time, guys, we'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you later.